Joining me now is Congressman Mark Meadows, a member of Trump's defense team. Congressman, the House impeachment team just looked really desperate today. As you and I were sitting here just preparing to go on the air, Adam Schiff was making up another conversation. He made up the transcript. He made up a conversation that the president had behind closed doors with Vladimir Putin. You can't make this up, but it just happened.
Well, it did just happen. The interesting thing is he knows he's not going to win this trial, so he's hoping he wins an Academy Award because he's putting on the most unbelievable show tonight. The problem is it's not based on facts, and we continue to see his hypocrisy each and every hour, and it gets more and more passionate as the evening wears on. And it's a sad day for the House Democrats, but it's a Saturday for America. To put our country through this and to put the president through it, shame on them.
Now, White House attorney, the Energizer Bunny, otherwise known as Pat Philbin, swatted down claims that acquittal will strip Congress of any of its oversight power.
To say now that all of oversight will be destroyed forever if you accept the president's arguments is totally false. It's totally misleading, because they weren't purporting to do just regular oversight. And as we've pointed out several times, the October 8th letter said specifically, if you want to return to regular oversight, we're happy to do that. As we have in the past, it was the House Democrats that didn't want to take that route.
By the way, he's become the pinup boy for, law nerds, like Pat Philbin. But that's an amazing point, right? That the Democrats refused to even work with the White House unless it was total submission to whatever Schiff and Nadler wanted.
Listen, I was in the rooms, and by the way, we call Pat Jack Webb just the facts, ma'am.
He just keeps so great. He's not a showboater.
No, he's not. He's a workhorse, and he's doing a great job. But I was in the deposition room with Adam Schiff, and he talks about fairness. Tonight, he went on about fairness, and I was about to pull my hair out as I listened to that, because each and every time we would get in there, ask questions, say, well, why don't we call this witness? Why don't we go ahead and make sure that we bring forth this kind of evidence? If it was to the president's advantage at all, the answer was always consistently no. And yet, Pat makes a good point. If they're really serious about this, they should have been serious before they voted on impeachment several weeks ago.
Instead of forcing or trying to force the Senate to do their job for them. That's not how it works.
That's exactly what they're doing, trying to force the Senate to do the job, because what they wanted was a mark on this president's resume more so than they wanted a conviction.
Pat Cipollone, the White House counsel, went right at Adam Schiff for not responding to a question specifically about the whistleblower. This was good. Watch.
I listened to Manager Schiff come up here and say he won't even dignify a legitimate question about his staff with a response. I think you deserve an answer to that question. Stop assuming that everybody has horrible motives. In the puritanical rage of just everybody's doing something wrong except for you. You cannot be questioned. That's part of the problem here.
Every time that the questions get close to Adam Schiff and the whistleblower and the coordination and what I would say a legitimate conspiracy, he didn't want to answer it. Pat, he was so right to call him out on that. It was an unbelievable moment as we were up close just to see the tension in the room as Pat Cipollone did a great job.
No, and Pat's like, you're laying waste or attempting to everyone around you, but you can never be questioned. That must be that's a nice deal to be.
He thinks he's above the law.
All right, there was a moment that just happened on the floor where the issue of Joe Biden and what he said in 1999 about the necessity of having witnesses during an impeachment trial, that emerged. Watch.
In no case did the Senate decline to consider a motion for summary disposition as beyond the Senate's authority or forbidden by the Constitution. The framers did not mean that this political process was to be a partisan process. Instead, they meant it to be political in the higher sense. The process was to be conducted in the way that would best secure the public interest, or in their phrase, the general welfare. That was the Biden doctrine of impeachment proceedings. Now, some members in this chamber agreed with that. Some members that serve as managers also agreed with that. But now the rules are different. The rules are different because Manager Schiff just moments ago did what he's now famous for and created a conversation purportedly from the President of the United States regarding Russia hacking of Burisma. And it's the same thing he did when he started his hearings. So this is a common practice. But if we want to look at common practice and common procedures, the Biden rule is one. I'd like to address something else, because we've heard it time and time again about two judges have decided this issue of executive privilege. I want to address two things very quickly. My very first case at the Supreme Court of the United States, and it was a long time ago, over 30 years ago, 33 years ago. My client lost in the district court. They said, well, we'll appeal to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals. Went to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, was not so successful. We didn't win there either. My client said, well, what do we do? I said, well, we have one option. We could file a petition for certiorari to the Supreme Court of the United States. Chances are they're not going to take the case. But at this point, it's an important issue to you, so why don't we proceed? My client agreed to proceed. A petition for certiorari was granted, and the court reversed 9-0 the Court of Appeals in the district court. And that's why you continue to utilize courts when appropriate. That's why you do it. And you don't
Okay,
rely
so
on
you just heard Jay Sekulow on the Biden rule. The Politico just got its hands on this memo from 1999 at about 8:30 tonight.
Right.
We got word that Hawley was going to ask a question about this, which is what he was responding to. That is devastating.
Well, so you've got someone that actually argued it with Chuck Schumer. So it's interesting, a 4-page memo that said you shouldn't.
Not necessary.
Yeah, you don't need the witnesses. You don't need to have it when it comes before the Senate. And so here we are with the hypocrisy argument again from my House Democrat colleagues. The interesting thing is, at the end of the day, the facts are on the president's side, and if the Democrats are honest with the arguments they've consistently made throughout history, they will go ahead and vote for no witnesses and will acquit and get this over with tomorrow.
But do you see my point in the angle that this is a tactic? This isn't they're always guilty of what they accuse
You're
Trump
exactly
of.
right.
So they say he's illegitimate. No, your inquiry was illegitimate.
Right.
That's why they're hiding the whistleblower. That's why they're hiding the transcript.
Well,
period.
The angle was spot on. You were exactly right with your analysis. And what they've done is they continue to point out over and over again what they are accusing the president of, they're guilty of. We saw that with the Russia investigation, the whole conspiracy. We've got this evidence, and yet the evidence wasn't there. The FISA process was all okay.
Abuse of power. Talk about abuse of power.
It is an abuse of power, and yet Adam Schiff, the problem is Adam Schiff knew the truth, and he lied to the American people over and over and over again.
What's the recourse there? He's going to run for Senate in California, I understand, when there's a retirement.
Well, maybe they have impeachment in California.
Oh, Congressman, great to see you. We'll check back with you tomorrow. Looks like he's going to wrap up.